Mineral sunscreens. Mineral sunscreens. Where do we start with mineral sunscreens? All right, we know mineral sunscreens are really the best thing for sensitive skin because they are less likely to irritate your skin. We also know that mineral filters, mineral UV filters, are just more photostable and they offer a lot more protection than their chemical cousins. We know that. Mineral filters are really the gold standard in sun care. And yet, so many mineral sunscreens suck. They suck. I'm sorry. I am biased against them. I've never found one that I really enjoy. They're hard to spread. Traditionally speaking, really hard to spread. Chalky, white. They leave a white or gray cast. They make your skin look ashy. And sometimes they can even dry your skin out. It's just like I have never been able to find a mineral sunscreen that I can say I'm comfortable using this every single day. So give this video a big thumbs up because today we are going to be talking about a brand new 100% mineral sunscreen from Purito. What? Purito makes really good sunscreens. Yes, this is the hot new release. This is Comfy Water Sunblock, and we're going to find out, is this the most innovative mineral sunscreen ever released in K-Beauty? Alright, so this is a brand new mineral sunscreen from Purito that claims to protect the skin with a moisturizing finish and no white cast. That is what Purito claims, and this is a really big claim in my mind. Now, as I said, 100% mineral filters being used here. So we have the use of zinc oxide as well as titanium dioxide. Now, mineral filters work to deflect UV light off of the skin, whereas chemical filters actually work to absorb and neutralize the UV filters or the UV rays on your skin. Now, Purito calls this a non-nano sunblock. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? I read that and I was like, it feels like a fancy way of saying nothing. I don't know what non-nano means. So looking into this further, a lot of different sunscreens, mineral sunscreens, will use nanotechnology, which basically makes the particles of the sunscreen smaller. And this is beneficial to the formulation of mineral sunscreens because it makes them more spreadable. It makes them more cosmetically elegant, and it actually helps to decrease the white cast of mineral sunscreens. Fun fact, titanium dioxide, one of the mineral UV filters being used here, is actually a component of white paint. Titanium dioxide is actually a white pigment that happens to also deflect UV rays. So you can actually find it in white paint. That is part of the reason why there's such a white cast to these ingredients. But fun fact aside, so these companies are using nanotechnology to make their mineral sunscreens more cosmetically elegant. However, there is a downside to this nanotechnology because making the particles smaller means that they're more likely to absorb into the skin, and when they do that, the potential to irritate the skin goes much higher. Now, Purito claims this is a non-nano sunblock. They are not using that nanotechnology because they want to get away from any potential irritations in this sunscreen. Now, this sunscreen is rated SPF 50 with a PA of +4. Now, as I understand it, it is incredibly difficult to formulate a mineral sunscreen that can have such high protection ratings because usually when the protection goes up, so does the white cast. So definitely we need to hang on to see about this whole zero white cast thing because such high protection with such big claims, these are big shoes to fill. Now, this sunscreen is really similar to its chemical cousin, the Purito Centella Green Level Safe Sun Cream. Now, they both actually utilize a 70% water base, which is supposed to make this feel very hydrating on the skin, very suitable for all skin types. The Centella chemical sunscreen uses mostly hyaluronic acid as their water component. However, we don't have hyaluronic acid in this sunscreen. We actually have the use of glycerin. Now, glycerin is a really utilitarian ingredient that does not get the love that it deserves. Glycerin is a skin identical ingredient, which means our skin loves it and recognizes it as its own hydration. It's really deep hydrator for the skin and really well accepted. It's just a fantastic ingredient, like I said. we just don't give it enough love. So lots of glycerin in this one, making up the 70% water base in this. Also, like its chemical component in the Purito line, the Centella Green Level sunscreen, this also contains Centella in it. We also have Cica here in the Comfy Water Sunblock. Now, Centella, great soother for the skin, definitely is gonna help with any type of irritation, inflammation, and redness. That's great, but what I get really excited about when Centella is in a sunscreen is because Centella has antioxidant benefits. And this is important because when you mix antioxidants with UV filters, you're getting more protection from the sun. So the UV filters will block out the sun, the UV rays from penetrating into the skin, but you also have the antioxidant protection that's going to protect your skin from oxidative damage. So this is just adding layer upon layer of coverage, and it's excellent to see these two together in this sunscreen. This sunscreen also features no alcohol. It also has no silicones, which is actually quite rare to find in mineral sunscreens. Mineral sunscreens generally use silicones to really improve the spreadability of the formula, but we don't have any silicones in this sunscreen. This is also free of synthetic fragrance, but don't let that fool you. We do have natural fragrance being used here in the form of 3 essential oils. We have orange peel oil, lavender oil, as well as tea tree oil. All right, let's talk texture because it's very impressive. I don't know how they did this. Okay, the texture is actually it, and I'm gonna compare this a lot to the Centella Green Level Safe Sun Cream because that is really one of my all-time favorite sunscreens, and it is a very impressive sunscreen, and it's made by the same company, so it just kind of makes sense. I know a lot of you guys out there have tried it, and this texture is quite similar to that sunscreen, which is quite a feat for a 100% mineral sunscreen, by the way. So this is very, very watery and thin. It's a very easily spreadable cream, and it feels incredibly watery on the skin. There's an amazing like sensation as you run it across your skin as you're working it in, that it just feels like there's just water just being like, you know, just like poured over your skin. I don't know, splashed over your skin. It's a really hard thing to describe, but it just glides over your skin and it feels cooling and refreshing. And it's definitely from the glycerin component in the ingredients list here. That glycerin is really contributing to that cooling and refreshing feeling, but it just feels so hydrating going on your skin. Now this cream is very thin, it's very lightweight, and it spreads so easily. I don't know if I've highlighted this enough. The spreadability of this is incredible. You know, most mineral sunscreens are very thick and they're hard to spread. You kind of have to work in like small chunks, like small areas of your face or your body when you're putting it on, because it's so easy to miss a spot if you try to spread it across a really big area because it's just so dry and it doesn't spread. This is not like that. It's the spreads, it just glides. It glides across your skin. I mean, I am just really trying to lay it on thick here about the texture. It is so impressive. Now this also, when it's on your skin, it's completely weightless. And I make the distinction between lightweight and weightless because it is that weightless. It's like nothing. It's invisible on the skin. You can't feel it. It doesn't feel heavy. It breathes really nicely on the skin. You know, just some sunscreens just feel like they're suffocating your skin with this heavy layer. You're not going to get that at all. This is incredible. You could easily forget that you put sunscreen on because you just can't feel it on your skin. This also dries down really quickly too. So if you like to put on like tone-up cream or makeup or any kind of other layer on top of your sunscreen and you're always, you know, concerned about the dry time before you can go on with your next layer, there's hardly any dry time here. I would say a minute, maybe 2 if you want to be safe, but I mean hardly any dry time on this one. And I would say the finish on this sunscreen is kind of more of a semi-matte finish. It's definitely not full-on matte by any means, but it definitely is more of a semi-matte finish. And I do find that towards the midday, the afternoon, when there's the potential to kind of get shiny in the middle of the day, I really don't find that with this sunscreen at all because it definitely has a semi-mattifying property to it. Scent on this one. The scent on this one, yeah, we've got a scent here. We do have the essential oils, and the scents that come through are definitely that citrus from the orange peel oil as well as the lavender. So it's kind of a fruity lavender smell, and honestly, it smells like Fruity Pebbles. The breakfast cereal, it smells just like Fruity Pebbles. it's kind of nice, but it's kind of weird at the same time. The scent level on this, I call this like a medium scent. You will notice it. I wouldn't call it a light scent by any means. I wouldn't call it a heavy scent. It's kind of in between. You will notice it, and when you put it on your face, it does go away within like 30 seconds to 1 minute of spreading it across your skin. It does go away, but on application, you will smell the scent. Okay, so did Purito do it with this whole zero white cast claim? Is there a white cast with this? 100% mineral sunscreen, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, zero white cast? Yeah, there's no white cast. My mind is so blown by this. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is such an innovative sunscreen. Holy cow. Not only from the texture that we just described, which is incredible, there is no white cast. You spread this on your skin and it is invisible. It's gone. There's nothing there. Now, previous to trying this sunscreen, I had tried the Make Cream UV Defense Me Blue Sun Cream. Now, this sun cream from Make Cream is the most minimal white cast I'd ever seen, and it was very impressive to me because it was like the only mineral sunscreen that like I could wear on my skin without looking gray. And that's the one that I would go to time and time again. That was the top mineral sunscreen spot in my mind. But this is invisible. This has no white cast at all. Not minimal white, no white cast. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is incredible. I just like don't know how. I have no idea how Purito did this, because pretty much every negative side of basically every negative thing about a mineral sunscreen, spreadability, texture, weight, white cast, right? All of that has been solved by this sunscreen already. Just with the texture and the white cast alone, all of those questions about mineral sunscreen completely go out the door because Purito has basically cracked it. They've solved it, and I don't know how they did it. Okay, let's take it down a notch though, because even though this is like incredibly mind-blowing and so impressive and incredibly exciting, I did notice a few things about this that we definitely do need to talk about. So number one, it can pill. It can pill. So what did I notice during my testing that makes me say this? So when I noticed that because this has a 70% water base, it's very, very watery. And if we remember, kind of going back to like basic science, oil and water do not mix. We know that. If you're using a very emollient moisturizer with oils in it, you will probably experience pilling. In my testing, I noticed that when I use the Oliveira Extra Emollient Comfort Cream, which has a high amount of squalane oil in it and some shea butter and lots of, you know, kind of oily type of ingredients in it, very nourishing. I noticed that when I put this sunscreen on directly on top of that, I got pills like immediately on application. But even like hours later, if I ran my fingers across my face, I would get more pilling. So I started to run an experiment. Then the next time, after I kind of realized it was the moisturizer, then when I did my next skincare routine, what I did was I used plain, straight up squalane oil on my face, but then I sealed it in with a more water-based cream. I used the CeraVe moisturizing cream. It has no oil component in it at all. When I put the CeraVe cream on, even though it was on top of an oil, I didn't get the pilling with the sunscreen. So it definitely has to do with the very last layer you put on before the sunscreen. If it has a high oil content, you can expect it to pill. That is just the nature of science. Oil and water do not mix. We know that. The other thing that I want to point out about this though too is with reapplication, you will probably, even if you're using a water-based moisturizer underneath it, if you apply the sunscreen again, another layer in the middle of the afternoon, you will probably get a little bit of pilling. Definitely not a lot, but you will probably get some. The reason I say probably is just because pilling is it's kind of a complex issue that's going to be case by case based on the other skincare layers that you're using, your skin chemistry, because you might have a lot of sebum on your skin that can kind of create like a pilling situation. So I just say can. Most sunscreens, once we start to enter into the reapplication phase, you can probably expect a little bit of pilling. That's just the way that it is with sunscreen. The other thing I will point out briefly is those of you who like mineral sunscreens especially underneath your makeup, because they kind of have a 2-in-1 primer effect. Not so much with this one. I didn't notice that as much. The one nice thing I always liked about mineral sunscreens was the fact that I didn't have to use a primer for my makeup, because it just made a really good base. It made my skin look really smooth. It held my makeup in place really well all day long. Like, my makeup would not budge. It just always looked better. That could probably be due to the fact that there's just no silicones in this sunscreen. So you're not going to get as much of that 2-in-1 primer effect if that's something that you appreciate. And then the other thing I want to point out is not a downside by any means. This washes off the face very, very easily with little effort. This is important. Again, this comes back to the fact that there's no silicones in this, notoriously hard to remove from the skin at the end of the night, as well as I think that non-nano aspect to it, the fact that they're not using nanoparticles, remember, that can really absorb into the skin. I think that's why this can be removed easily, and this is excellent, especially if you suffer from congested skin. If you have problems with your sunscreen not washing away at the end of the night, this washes away so easily. That being said, many mineral sunscreens, because they have that ability to just adhere to the skin so well, generally are pretty sweat proof, and usually great choices if you're doing anything like sweating, like outside, like sports, hiking. If you're doing any kind of exercise outside, you're gonna sweat a lot. I always like mineral sunscreens because they always just seem so sweat resistant. I can't really say that about this sunscreen. It's a great everyday sunscreen. It's certainly not waterproof, never claimed to be, by the way, but it definitely doesn't have a lot of sweat resistance to it. Okay, so what was my experience using this sunscreen? And I have to tell you, it was a very up and down process with this sunscreen. I have to tell you that. As excited as I am about this, my experience with this was all over the place. All right, so first things first, I do want to let you guys know, as I mentioned earlier, I don't like mineral sunscreens. I am open to testing them and trying to find one that works, because I just know that mineral sunscreens, when it comes down to photostability and all that, and they're supposed to be better for sensitive skin, which I do have sensitive skin. If I can find a mineral sunscreen that works, I'm for it. I'm for it. So I am totally like up to testing mineral sunscreens and trying them out. But I just want to let you know, I just really haven't found one that works for every single day usage. Okay, but Purito actually happens to make one of my favorite daily holy grail sunscreens, the Centella Green Level Safe Sun. So there's a lot of baggage going on here, because I have a lot of really like high expectations from this sunscreen, because I really do respect Purito when it comes to their sunscreen formulations. Okay. So when I saw this released, I was like, high hopes. Okay, so the very first time that I used this sunscreen, my mind was blown. As we've covered, this is so innovative, and the first thing that I did when I got the box, ripped it open, got the sunscreen out, squirted it out on my hand, did a little texture test, rubbed it in, and I was like, there's no white cast. I was incredibly impressed, and I was just feeling so much hope for this sunscreen. So the first day that I put it on my face, different story. Okay, well, let me just start here. My skin is dehydrated. I do struggle with the oil and water on my skin. I do lack water on my skin, so I do get dried out very easily. That I also want to point out the fact that when I very first started testing the sunscreen, my skin was in a sensitized state from a completely different product that I had used a week or two ago, and I was still recovering. I was still feeling a little irritated and a little sensitized. So I want to put that out there. So the first time that I put this onto my face, it felt okay, but I started to feel like it was drying out my face. Here's the thing. Dehydration and sensitivity aside, the ingredient zinc oxide actually has sebum controlling properties to it. It can actually help to control your sebum by soaking it up. Very, very good if you have a lot of oil on your skin, because this means you're not going to get as shiny in the middle of the day. You're going to have a little bit of a mattifying effect that you get with your sunscreen, which is such a bonus for oily skin, not a bonus for skin that lacks hydration or even oil on their skin. So dehydrated skin and dry skin, probably not the best here, because you're going to get some of that sebum soaking up capabilities, but if you don't have the sebum to spare, it's going to result in feeling dry and tight towards the end of the day or after a couple of days of use in a row. So I wasn't really sure what was going on there, so I stopped testing the sunscreen. I let my skin heal up a little bit more. I let that sensitized feeling go away, heal up, and then I tried it again, and it was a lot better. It was a lot better. My skin was not as dry at the end of the day, but you guys heard that in that sentence. Not as dry. It did still feel a little bit dry underneath after, 6 hours of wear, and then after reapplication. It definitely did make my skin feel a little dehydrated towards the end of the day. So it definitely was disappointing because the texture, the no white cast, everything about it, it feels hydrating when you put it on, but at the end of the day, maybe what I need to accept is maybe zinc oxide just isn't my best friend for my skin. So what's the bottom line here? Because that's kind of a Debbie Downer review. We had so much excitement, so many good things going for it, and then my experience might have put you on the fence, and I don't want it to, because you know what? The bottom line here is I still recommend this sunscreen. If you have oily skin, if you have combo oily skin, and if you also additionally suffer from acne, I really think that the sunscreen is for you, and I really do think that you should consider trying this because this solves so many problems with mineral sunscreen. And if you do have extra oil on your skin to spare, essentially, you'll actually enjoy the sebum controlling properties of the zinc oxide, which you're gonna find in any mineral sunscreen, by the way. It's just really not the best thing for dry or dehydrated skin. So if you have dry or dehydrated skin, I think that this is probably better than most of the mineral sunscreens I've tried that have also dried out my face, by the way. This one is definitely better, but we're still experiencing that sensation. I have to put it out there. This probably isn't the best choice for you. If you don't need mineral filters, please try the Purito Centella Green Level Safe Sun Sunscreen. You will love it if you are dry or dehydrated. If you are oily or combo oily, you will like this one. I really do. And I have to leave you guys with this one thought of the fact that this product is going to change the sunscreen industry in K-beauty. I truly do feel that. Much in the way that Cosrx Low pH Good Morning Cleanser changed the game as far as companies being really transparent about their pH levels, not only of cleansers, but also like in things like toners and essences. A lot of companies realized that Cosrx really paved the way and was very innovative in that concept. It changed the industry just the way that Purito formulating this 100% mineral sunscreen with this beautiful cosmetically elegant texture, this fantastic like zero white cast. This feels so good on the skin. This is going to change how mineral sunscreens are made in the K-beauty industry. Purito has really like taken it up like to 100. The bar has been raised. Purito has done it. So this is a 60 milliliter tube. This retails around $17. Now this, as I said, this is brand new. This was just released this month. So you may not be able to find it on every K-beauty store yet, but I can tell you it is available directly from Purito from Amazon in the US, and this is also available from Yes Style. So let me know in the comment box below, are you team chemical sunscreen or team mineral sunscreen? Let me know. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I release 2 new skincare videos every single week, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss when I upload the new video. I really hope that you guys are having a fantastic and beautiful day, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. We'll talk soon. Bye.